Instructions to do so will be listed. We ask that you provide your full name, address, and topic you are speaking on, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. If you would like to be called on during the meeting to provide public input, please insert the following into the chat and you will be called on during the relevant time for public input. My name is full name and I live at address, and I would like to speak on, for, or against agenda item. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Please be sure to unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks. Thank you.
Yes, disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. We are so grateful to have in the house tonight Reverend Matthew D. Johnson from St. Paul Memorial Church. If you are here, sir, please come to the podium. We will all stand for invocation and give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Matthew Dennis Johnson. I live at 1007 West Colfax Avenue. The church is at 1001 West Colfax Avenue. With deepest respect for South Bend residents of every faith and those with none, I offer this prayer. Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, hear our prayer this night for the city of South Bend. Grant our leaders wisdom and courage to govern your people with righteousness and justice and equity. For righteousness and justice are the foundations of your throne. With you there is no partiality, for your image resides in us all, and we are yours by right of creation and right of redemption. Give us to know that the concord of our common life depends upon each other's toil and goodwill. As they work for the good of this community, grant this body your blessing, O God. Give them strength in adversity, wisdom in perplexity, courage in the face of opposition, and a will to always do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly before you and in the presence of their fellow citizens. May your protection and blessing be over them. Now may the words of our mouths and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our Redeemer. Amen.
Now we'll repeat the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, welcome everybody. At this time, Clerk Toronto, would you please give the roll?
Councilmember Gooden Rogers. Present. Councilmember McBride.
Present.
Councilmember Warner is excused. Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Present.
Vice President Niskoski.
Present.
President Lee.
Present.
8 council members present.
All right, now we will do reports from the Subcommittee on Minutes for January 26, 2026.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the January 26, 2026 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
All right, I will now entertain a motion to accept these minutes.
Move to accept the minutes.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. All right, there is no special business today because our special business is we have the mayor of our city in the place tonight, and he will give us the state of financial and general condition of the city of South Bend in his annual address. At this time, let's receive our mayor, Mayor James Mueller. We also want to thank our youth council members who are here today. We want to acknowledge you guys for being in the house tonight too. Mayor Mueller, give us your name and address for the record.
Well, thank you, President Lee, council members, James Mueller, Mayor of South Bend, with offices on the 6th floor of this building. It's a privilege to be here to give you the annual update of finances for the city. This is not, as you know, the state of the city, which is broader and perhaps to some more interesting, other than those who love numbers and accounting. The state of the city would be, specifically for the Youth Council, would love to extend the invitation. We're looking at late March. We'll get that date to you when we finalize that. But that's a broader look at the state of the city. Today, we're going to dig in just on the numbers and the finances. So without further ado, we'll dig in right into it. And so as those who have come to previous updates of the city finances, you will remember that we like to visit a few key components of where we stand as a city, where we are in our cash position, the liquidity, where we stand in our debt position, what obligations do we have, what assets do we own, and the capital assets, and then how are we doing on operational revenues and expenditures. I don't know who's controlling. Is there a controlling of the? Oh, there we go. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. So we'll start with the liquidity, and here you will see the ending cash balance for the entire city, and this includes your general funds, but also includes enterprise funds. So think about that as solid waste, sewer, water, and other enterprise funds. As you'll see, there was a spend down of cash balance, and the bump that you saw in 2024 was when the council and the administration came together to release bonds for Winsfield, which is a $45 million project, and the Madison Lifestyle District garage. Also, that bond was issued in 24. When we issue bonds, we receive the cash, but the project doesn't happen just like that. So as you see here, the cash went up in 24 because we issued the bonds and received the cash. And then you see that the spending went down in 25 as those projects, as you've seen, have been making great progress. A similar story to specifically the general plus funds. So these are the operational of our core departments, operational funds for our core departments. And here you'll see the first decrease in a number of years. And again, this is something that we've been working to do because as you see, the cash balance, cash on hand has gone up and up and up over the last 10 years. And these are funds that we need to make sure are getting to use and providing services. So there's a number of reasons why we saw the decline last year. And some of these are one-time expenditures. If you recall, we moved here, the new city hall, and there were some one-time expenditures that we appropriated for the purpose of getting this place ready. There was also, we just celebrated the opening of the Racklin Murphy Encore Center. And if you again, it's sometimes hard to keep track with all the projects going, but we used general funds to help cover the gap to make that project possible. And that will be repaid to the general fund over a period of years starting in 2027. So that was about $9 million, Kyle. That was the $9 million from the general fund that we used to complete that project, and then it'll get paid back from state funds, the PSCDA funds here over a period of years. And so again, you'll see that drop, but some of it was intentional spending, one-time spending, and some of it will be repaid over time to the general fund. The cash, where we stand relative to other cities, we have a strong cash balance as a percentage of our expenditures. And so on this list of peer cities, we're toward the top there in terms of percentage of cash as relative to our expenditures, over 100% currently. You'll see at the bottom of the list there are Carmel and Fishers. And later we'll look at bond ratings, and they have the same bond rating as us. And that shows kind of an inspirational place where you can maintain a AA bond rating and have a much lower percentage of cash reserves. And that's because they're a fast growing economy, a fast growing city. And so when the credit agencies look for their bond rating, they have the same bond rating as us, even though they only have a third or less of the reserves relative to their expenditures. So moving into debt, there's a little bit of a change. We've shown this breakdown of our debt profile over the years, and of course, there's the again, maybe not the most exciting unless you love sewers and water, but about a little over a fourth or a third of our debt goes toward those capital fund needs for both for sewer and water. And those are the enterprise funds. And then from the governmental side, for a long time, the majority of those were economic development. So investing in growth, making the investments today that pay off over time and help us grow. What's different, as you'll see, is that culture and recreation has now jumped into the lead here. And again, we mentioned the Four Winds Field project, the $45 million coming from state funds. So we're blessed that the state continues to partner with us and invest in South Bend and invest in our future. And because of that, we've seen an increase in the debt for culture and recreation. The annual debt payments have been fairly level in nominal terms. If you wanted to adjust this for inflation, these would be going down, and that is seen when you look at the bottom line there, the percentage of debt payments as total expenditures. So as inflation goes up and costs go up, expenditures go up, and the debt payments have stayed relatively stable, and so you see a declining as a percentage of total expenditures. The debt per capita also declined slightly this year or last year. So, again, we're going to go to the next slide and see what that means relative to our peer cities. Here we're in the middle of the pack of our peer cities in terms of debt per capita. Some other local ones, Mishawaka is higher, for example. Evansville is a similar population, and then Fort Wayne, the second largest city in the state, has a higher per capita debt. And so some of this is driven, we used to be a little bit lower, but some of this is driven by the fact that we've received these state funds. And so, for example, whether it's an increase of the hotel motel tax that we receive, or whether it's the PSCDA, the Professional Sports Development, like the Four Winds Field project, we are getting more revenue that otherwise would go to the state. And that has enabled us to invest in these projects that revenue supports, and those are supported by debt financing. We're proud to maintain the AA bond rating, and as you see, the list of cities around us in that table are wealthy, fastly growing cities around the Indianapolis area. So Carmel, Noblesville, Fishers has a AA now, or a plus now, so gotten a little ahead of us, but we're ahead of Fort Wayne and a number of other cities. So this is important because the credit rating shows that we're in a sound financial position. Every time we go and issue debt, it gets reviewed by credit agencies, because this goes on the market, and then investors invest in our debt, and they need to know what kind of risk profile they're getting in. If you're a higher risk profile, you have to pay higher rates. If you're a lower percentile, you pay lower rates. And so it's important for us to maintain this strong credit rating because it allows us to borrow and finance projects at a lower rate than we would if we had a different rating. So now moving into capital assets, the net book value of where we stand at the end of 2025 is $771.6 million in terms of value. And so this is the net present book value of all of our different assets that we own. And that's not the cost of what it would take to replace them. It's the cost of where they are today. So if we built a building, for example, for $40 million and it's depreciated over time in value, it's where it is after depreciation, not where it was brand new. So this is the calculation that looks at, the whole host of things, whether it's our utility, our wastewater treatment plant, our buildings, as we said, community centers, et cetera, and then other improvements that we've made to the cityscape that the city owns. And here is an illustration of where we are in capital expenditures. And again, not everything, it's confusing because what's counted here, not everything that we might think of as capital goes into capital expenditures. And so here you see 29 million of capital expenditures in 2025. Some things that you might think are capital expenditures don't show up here. Other things like projects that are currently underway also don't necessarily get reflected in terms of the accounting. So the Four Winds Field, again, not to keep going back, but it's a big project. That's a project when it's completed, you'll probably see a jump in the numbers for 2026 because once it's completed, then it moves into a completed and a full asset, and then the expenditures are accounted for. Operations, this is looking at where we are in terms of our specific funds. And so as I mentioned on the cash balance change, we did have a spend down of the general plus funds of 19.3 million last year. Again, 9 of which is the financing for the Morris Phase 2 project that will get paid back over time. There were some city hall expenses. If you recall, we also had some quarterly appropriations for public safety expenditures that were higher than expected. And so all of that led into a combined deficit of those funds of 19.3 million. The other piece is you look at the Parks and Recreation Fund 201, that was the Martin Luther King Center. So these capital projects are showing up in the numbers in full in the 2025 years. Then you'll also notice, for example, that the waterworks has a surplus. That's a artificial surplus in the sense that we receive the settlement dollars for the PFAS treatment, and we haven't been able to spend all those dollars yet. And so, again, the cash is coming in 2025, but a lot of it will be spent in this upcoming year. Property tax revenue, so this is before the the Senate Enrolled Act 1 was fairly level last year. And we're trying to figure out exactly what went on there, but it looks like there was perhaps a slight increase in the civil city funds and a slight decrease in the redevelopment funds. And again, we're working to try to understand exactly how that occurred as we look forward to what is the revenue going to be as we move forward here this year and beyond. And a similar story here on the local income tax revenue. We saw that we didn't receive quite the same supplemental. So in many years, we receive our base funds from the state, and then they oftentimes will provide a supplemental distribution. And so that's just not, it didn't come in quite as strong last year. And again, trying to understand what the economic reasons are for that. But if you see in our past, we've gone up and down. one of the things that when the down in 2022 was a change in how we allocated funding here locally within the county. But in the past, we have seen ups and downs in these numbers. But again, this is something we're keenly interested in tracking, because as the Senate Enrolled Act 1 from the state gets implemented, there will be additional impacts to our revenue, both property and income tax in the coming years. Full-time employees, just under 1,200 as of December 31st, 2025. And again, half of which are public safety, police and fire. About another fourth is public works. And then the rest, the venues, parks and arts, and community investment are just under about a fifth. And then general government, so the administrative piece, including the mayor's office and the council and the clerk, are 156 of those 1,176 full-time employees. And here is a look at the trend. So this is when we went through the budget season. We had to make some tough decisions. We had to make some cuts to positions, and we know over time we're going to need to continue to move forward on the soft hiring freeze. And so you see the increase. Now, part of this is because we were short-staffed, particularly in our police department. Also, the pandemic, we were short-staffed. It was during that time, I forget what they called it exactly, but employees were leaving. They're after the pandemic lifted, they were leaving their place of employment. We did see a tremendous turnover, as well as a slow rehiring for a couple of years. But obviously, since then, over the past year or two, we've been able to rehire those positions, and you see that increase. But as we look forward, and again, to stay on top of where we are in terms of the state changes, we are looking to continue to figure out how we can continue to provide great services and service levels, but doing so more efficiently and perhaps with fewer headcount here in FTEs. And here's another piece of the equation in terms of our costs and expenditures is health insurance trend had flattened or at least become more manageable in terms of growth over the past 10 years, particularly since we opened the city clinic. That was one piece of our strategy to contain the growth of healthcare costs. But last year, you see more of a jump. This is not atypical from what other organizations have seen. And there's a lot of conversations about health insurance, and the sustainability of our current system. And so this is something, again, another piece of the component of we've got to figure out how to contain costs and have reasonable growth rates for those expenditures. So wrapping up in terms of what does this all mean? The pros here know what it all means, but for those of you who are wondering why we're going over all these numbers. So, we try to make a comparison to what if you were, if you had a household budget. And so our annual operating income of $340 million, operating, not all the other pieces, we're saying is roughly, what if that were roughly equivalent to, a household having $50,000 salary or combined income? Well, then that would mean our cash on hand of $450 million would be like having $66,000 in our savings or checking account or other place of liquid assets. And then our capital assets, you either own a really nice car or a house that's worth $113,000. So and then perhaps your house is actually $157,000, but you've paid only part of the mortgage. So you paid $113,000 of the mortgage, and you still owe $44,000 left on the mortgage. So that's your debt. Or it could be student loans, or it could be a car payment, could be a combination of all that. And so generally speaking, you know, a lot of households would be happy to be in this position. You have net assets of over 100,000. You have liquid assets ready to go of 66,000, and your debt is less than your annual income. So upcoming pieces: property tax reform, SEA 1. You know, the things that we talked about at budget time, we're looking at our cash balance and where we are, how much flexibility. We spent down, like I said, 19.3 in the general plus funds in 2025, but we're still well above where our reserve requirement is, and our reserve requirements are roughly 50% of our expenditures in the general plus funds. So, we were just over 100 million in cash on hand in the general plus funds. 50% would be roughly 80 million. And so we still have that cushion that we've talked about, but that's why at budget time, we were saying we've got to start to close that gap between the expenses and the revenues coming in, especially as some of these revenues are going to be unpredictable. But I guess, the good news is last year we had those one-time expenses that accounted for roughly or over half of the general plus fund deficit. Those were one-time things that don't come back. And our revenue was not nearly as rosy even this year or in 2025 as we had hoped or planned, or even mid-year that we had thought we were going to receive. So we were able to absorb multiple things and still end up in a pretty good position. But that's not to say, you know, we've got to stay diligent and continue to work on balancing expenses and revenues. Rates, we haven't looked at rates in a few years. And so that's something we'll need to do here in the coming weeks and months. Obviously, we're going to try to provide the critical services at the cheapest cost, the most efficient cost. And so we want to work with the council to figure out how to package this together to fund our critical water and sewer needs and infrastructure needs, while also minimizing the impacts to our residents. And then in terms of project financing, there are a number of things moving forward. You know, we'll want to take a look as the weather breaks. It's been a rough winter. We'll probably want to take a look at our roads and perhaps have some financing for roads. And then also, we just celebrated again the phase 2 of the Racklin Murphy, but phase 3, we're trying to move that forward, and we'll have some things there. And then all sorts of economic development, particularly with the state funding that the council just helped unlock for us. That there will be projects there that also will need to figure out some sort of financing to get them across the finish line. So those are kind of the upcoming things. You know, there are rumors too that the county wants to distance itself from or end the contract and agreement with the city in terms of EMS service outside of city limits. Those conversations are ongoing, and unfortunately, you know, I think there are some misconceptions, but ultimately, if they do withdraw, county residents will be paying more for less at the end of the day. Whether that shows up on the county books or someone else, someone's got to pay for it, and it's not going to be as efficient. And so either they're paying more, they're likely to pay more and get less. So we're going to try to appeal to those who want to deliver good services at the best possible price, and hopefully we can retain that service level for the unincorporated county areas for the county. We're proud of the service we've delivered for multiple decades. I know a lot of the unincorporated county is proud of the service and thankful for the service that we've provided. So that's an ongoing risk. You know, the county will be paying more for less. We'll have to work on rearranging some things. Should they end up going forward and canceling it, we'll have to figure out some things. So stay tuned on that. But hopefully, you know, cooler heads will prevail and common sense will prevail, and we can avoid that unnecessary headache for both the county and the city. With that, I'll open up to any questions you have.
Council members, do you have any questions?
I do.
Yes, Dr. Davis.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Mayor. When you look at what you just presented to us, which one aspect are you most proud of, and which one gives you the most concern?
I mean, I'm proud of the fact, I mean, we have a AA bond rating. We're still in a strong fiscal position. We've got a good cash reserve level, but we've got to maintain it. And so we're proud of where we are, but we've got to continue to work hard to maintain it.
Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, for being with us and for this presentation. Just briefly, if you were pleased with a AA bond rating, just could you recap again, what would it take for us to have an even stronger bond rating?
That would be tough. I mean, we are working toward that in that we're investing in growth. So the single most important factor right now that we would need to improve to be able to improve our bond rating is to have a better growth rating. And so continuing to invest in growth is critical.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I just have one question, Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. I looked at the upcoming items and you mentioned rates, which we, realize, we've got to have that balance and, the cost. But how do we communicate that with our citizens who are struggling already? And we know that, in order for us to continue, that we will have to look at some rates increases and not knowing what's going to happen with Senate Bill 1 or, things that are coming up before us. And how do we balance that? And what would be our priorities as we move forward?
Well, I mean, we're looking for a bare bones, only the critical investments. So PFAS, keeping our water supply clean, that's going to be a big expense. We've got some settlement dollars, but there will also need to be some ratepayer dollars to make that happen. So clean drinking water, I know residents, that's top priority for our residents. Trash pickup, making sure that we are able to continue to pick up the trash every week. The alternative is if we're not, we'll all be getting phone calls, and rightfully so, if we're not picking up the trash appropriately and timely. And then sewer, this is one of the things that we're going to try to take another run at. We're very proud of the fact that we renegotiated the long-term control plan to save over $500 million to ratepayers. But, we're still looking at that and saying that's not good in this environment, in this economic environment, that's not good enough. Maybe we can get some more relief on that front. So we're working to try to get some relief from the federal government to limit those impacts. So literally, we're trying to minimize the rate increases as much as possible, but there are things we just have to do, like pick up the trash, clean the water, and, federal mandates. Eventually, we do have to comply with those legal mandates.
Do you see that we would gradually introduce that? I mean, on a scale?
We always want to gradually introduce, and that's also why we do debt financing for a lot of projects, because, if it's a $50 million project, that's a lot if you had to do that in cash in year one. But if you finance that over 15, 20 years, it's spread out over 15 to 20 years. So that is the goal, is to try to make the transitions as smooth as possible. But again, unfortunately, they're all these things coming together at the same time.
Anyone? Yes. Bolden Simpson.
Thank you. Thank you for trying hard. I was keening in about those rates, being the chairman of the water committee. Page 16, I just saw so much red.
Yeah.
Help us. It's like, it scared me.
Yeah, I mean,
How
this is
long
what
do you think it'll take to, get some more black?
Oh, well, I mean, I know as we went through the 2026 budget cycle, we made a lot of tough decisions. Those will pay off. We'll start to see more and more. And our goal is to, when you look at that cash on hand, when you go back, the red is where we were last year,
Mm-hmm.
and we had those one-time expenses that I talked about. And then the question is, we want to level out that cash on hand. So we had been going up and up and up. And at some point, I mean, honestly, we were having more cash than we probably should. You know, like there's a limit to how much the cash can help with your bond rating, for example. So when the question was, what can we do? There's not much more cash position we could do to help our bond rating, but the growth is key to move our bond rating forward. So that's why you want to do it. You want to invest and you want to continue to move that forward. So we needed to not continue to accumulate cash, but obviously we also don't want to fall below that reserve level of right now. It's about 80 million. So we still have a comfortable position, but we've got to start, soft landing. And so the 2026 budget has already moved us in that direction. We'll just have to continue to stay vigilant and go further. Again, we did not anticipate the revenue to be what it was. So even with revenue a little lower than we anticipated, we're still in a strong position.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilwoman Gooden Rogers.
Yes, Mayor, thank you for the report, but I'm concerned when we sit here and we talk about, I hear you talk about rates, and we have seniors out here right now that's complaining about the gas bill, and we're complaining about the electric bill, and it sounds like this right here, what we just talked about, like now we're heading at the water rates. Okay, so my concern is when you're a senior and you're living on a fixed income, what is the city going to be able to offer them that they will be able to? Because I know people right now that are behind on their water bill and their water is off because they can't pay to keep it on. And nowadays we're living in times to where which we always have, but it seems like it's getting worse, where seniors have got to make a decision. Are they going to eat, buy medicine, or pay the utilities? So I'm looking at what are we going to have in place to try to help these rates stay to where they can afford to keep their utilities on.
Yeah, like I said, we're trying to squeeze every non-essential increase out, first of all. And then second of all, we do have the utility assistance program that's income qualified, that gives credits. That's something also we're looking at in terms of, and it can be part of the rate conversation. What is the appropriate scale for the utility assistance program? That was started a number of years ago. We have more information now about what the needs are versus, I don't want to say it was just pulled out of the air, but we didn't have quite the same level of understanding of the need, at the detailed level to be able to figure out what the right levels are for the utility assistance program.
Well, I'm looking at maybe that's an area that needs to be looked at because we have people that have certain income, the household numbers. Sometimes when you look at 5 in a household, but you can't make, but say let's for instance say $39,000, okay, to get assistance. But my job is not paying me that, so now I have children. I got these utilities. I need to buy groceries. So we need to take a big consideration in, I'm asking for a big consideration in looking at this seriously because we don't want people, we don't know what's going to happen to the SNAP program down the road. So we got a lot to look at when we trying to talk about increased rates. And I know something has got to be done to help out, but we also got to protect the citizens too.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to keep our drinking water clean, picking
Yeah,
up.
most
We have to do the basics,
Most
and
definitely.
we have to do
You
it at
just
the least
spoke against
cost
that bill
possible.
last month.
Excuse me, please mute yourself. Thank you.
I'm just saying, she just spoke against
Okay,
that
but
same bill
you're-
to evaluate that issue last month.
But you are out of order, sir. You're out of order.
No,
Please.
y'all are out of
Please.
order.
Okay, Mayor. At the end of the year, where would you like to see South Bend at when we end 2026?
Well, I mean, I think there are a number of things that we could look at. Obviously, we started the year off, this is going a little off topic from finances, but We started out the year, unfortunately, reversing some of the progress we've made over the last 2 years in public safety. So we want to see the return of peace to our city, first and foremost. We want to see continued investment, continued growth, because that continues to allow us to see progress, not just in our business corridors, but also in our neighborhoods. And so obviously there's a number of projects like, we can talk about what I'd like to see by the end of 2026, but generally speaking, we're focused, as we have been, public safety, investment, and neighborhood infrastructure, and the things that city government does.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. White?
I don't know if we have our youth, some of the members of our youth council members. I don't know if they want to ask any questions.
We'll
'Cause
get
I don't
ready.
want to keep them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go right to,
Mhm.
we go to a public hearing, correct? All right. Is there anyone Clerk Toretto, is there anyone in the chambers or online that would like to speak in support?
I think we'll start with the chambers. If there's anyone in person that would like to speak, please stand up to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Annalise McKenna. I live at 212 Napoleon Street. And I just have a question for the mayor. You were talking about the possible ending of the county-city agreement for EMS services, and I was wondering what are some possible actions that the city government can take to protect equitable healthcare through the possible ending of these services and rising healthcare and insurance costs?
All right. It's one of our youth council members.
Yeah, that's a great question. Generally speaking, on healthcare costs, those who have the solution for that could, well, one, probably make a lot of money to figure out if they could figure out how to do this. But two, there would be a lot of answers at the federal, state, all levels of government. Our healthcare system is not the most efficient. I think, and by some measures, is not necessarily even the most effective in terms of health outcomes. So that's a lot of this is determined at higher levels of government. So we could advocate for changes there if we knew fully what the best answers are there. There are some simple ones in terms of expanding access to insurance. Access to insurance is important, but that doesn't necessarily get fully at the cost and the cost issue. And so, as mayor, this is true of a lot of things. And as council members, when you're in city government, you receive a lot from higher levels of government and from the economy as a whole. You don't have the same levers to change the macro economy. You don't have the same levers to change overall federal or state policy. We have to try to make the best of what the state and federal government give us. We can advocate for solutions, but we have to make the best of what's given to us. In terms of the county, more specifically, equitable healthcare, we're going to make our case. We're going to show how we're delivering great service at a good cost, and hope that wins the day. If not, we don't control the county government either. So this is an exercise of diffuse authorities and the different governments having to work together. So hopefully, again, we'll make the case, the best case we can. We hope that common sense will prevail, but ultimately the county not only controls this decision in this case, but they also oversee the county health department.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mayumi. I live on 742 South 31st Street. And my question is for the mayor. As we were looking at our financial state for the city, is there a way, and I am going based off of our city council chair member over here, is there a way that we could be able to afford to help more low-income households, especially single parent family households with not a lot of income or able to, or with not a lot of income and not a lot of support, if there's a way that we can put that into budget or maybe find some better ways to make sure they have everything that they need. That is the end of my question.
Again, that's another great question from our youth council. There are different ways the city has worked to address different inequities and challenges arising. But by and large, when we talk about SEA 1 and the state funding, here in Indiana, cities and municipalities and counties, local governments do not have a lot of surplus funding available, and that's literally by design from the state government. They want us to focus on the basics, to do public safety, to do infrastructure, and to do, make sure that we're covering those basics. And they don't necessarily, sometimes when we do go outside of that, they'll come in and preempt us from doing that. And so we're thankful that they haven't done that in a number of areas that we've been moving in. They've been partnering with us on building affordable housing, and we're proud of the number of affordable housing units that are underway. We'd like to do more, of course, but those are the kind of things that when we're talking about actually getting better outcomes and addressing needs, we don't have the funding levels to do it alone. We need partners like the state and federal governments, and we seek those partnerships whenever and wherever we can.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We do have Mr. Geiger online. Please, Mr. Geiger, unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Thank you, Bianca. My name is Jordan Geiger, 302 South Falcon Street. Thank you for the presentation, James. I want to echo a little bit of what some of the youth council members have expressed around some of our most vulnerable residents, especially those who are living in single family, female-headed households. And I'm wondering, in your perspective, because the city is right now charting out a plan, or at least a set of recommendations, or the council charting out a set of recommendations around reparations for Black people who historically have been divested from our neighborhoods. We wouldn't have to say Black, right? But neighborhoods that have been experienced divestment, that have been polluted, poisoned, abandoned by the city historically. You're now saying that there's no money really available to address these issues. However, there has been plenty of money available through TIFs and other tax incentives for wealthy individuals. Those mechanisms of incentivization have been available to them. So I'm wondering, for our most vulnerable residents, how is the city going to work towards incentivizing growth in those areas beyond the standard formula that you've used? So are you going to close TIF districts, which essentially privatize money and leave it in the hands of the Redevelopment Commission, which is controlled by you? Or are you going to change the zoning law so that we can require developers who are building luxury housing to set aside 25 or 30% of units for low-income families that make 30% or lower of the area median income, or 60% or lower of the area median income? I know that the city has made efforts to support affordable housing, but it's not been enough. And so given the fact that we are evaluating the racial inequities in our city that are historically based and based on policy, the fact that many of the banks and also the federal government, the local government divested from these areas, what are the policy tools? What are the tax incentives that we can use, including residential tax abatements, right? Because we're talking about, as Ophelia or Ms. Gooden-Rogers mentioned, that there are seniors who are income restricted, who have paid taxes to the city for generations and have historically not received what they've put in, right? Like their communities haven't received what they've invested. Are there residential tax abatements incentives that we can use? Like, what are the policy tools? What are the different mechanisms that we can use to uplift those that are going to be most harmed by this federal administration, which does not seem to care about anybody but white men like you and wealthy individuals? And I just want to say real quick to my point that I mentioned about what Ophelia or Ms. Gooden Rogers had said. You spoke against a bill that Councilman Davis, Dr. Davis, put forward that will look at federal disruptions, that will look at what resources we have at our disposal at a city level, looking at the city coffers to be able to, that we may be able to shore up to support vulnerable families. You said people are out here stealing chickens and selling free food. So now you seem to be singing to a different tune. And so we need to have some consistency. Do we care about the most vulnerable folks in the city, or are we just going to perpetuate tropes about poor people?
Mr. Geiger, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, you don't have to cut me off. I got time.
No,
I got time.
no.
I got this. I got this.
No,
I got this.
no,
I've been doing this.
no.
I got this.
Okay.
I got
we're-
this. I got this. I'm
No.
done. I got this. I got
We're not
this.
going to argue
I
with
know what
you.
I'm doing. We're not arguing. You're cutting me
We-
off. I got this.
No,
We're
go
good.
ahead.
I'm done. I'm good.
Go ahead and we want the mayor to address what was asked of him, and then we will go on to the next question. Thank you.
So yes, I mean, even with the lean governments that the state has designed for us in cities and counties, we've been able to invest in growth. And so those growth investments are what generate revenue that allow us to invest further in the city, in our infrastructure, and in our neighborhoods. And we're proud over the past several years to be investing historic amounts in neighborhoods that haven't seen investment in a long time. We know it's not enough. We know we need to do more, but it can't be a this versus that, because we need to still grow to be able to fund the different priorities that we have as a city. So we're going to continue to be bullish on investing in growth. We're going to continue to be bullish on investing in housing of all types, affordable whenever we can. But when we talk about housing, we can't take policies from a blue state or a wealthy city and try to apply them here, or we won't get housing of any type. And so we need to be very careful and pragmatic about how do we move the ball forward in terms of affordable housing. Unfortunately, the way the costs are, labor, materials, and the way our incomes are here, we're still below the national average. Housing generally does not pay for itself of any type. And the more income qualified you need, the more subsidy you need. So we need to generate more revenue. We need to generate more growth so we can continue to invest in. And in terms of tools, the TIF areas that were mentioned have been investing in neighborhood housing projects throughout the city. We hope to do more, including in the LaSalle Park area in the coming years. The council recently approved the residential TIF, which allows to capture the increment value from these new houses. And then that can be recycled back into the next houses to build more and more. And hopefully that builds.
But why can't it go to the general fund? Why does it have to go to a TIF and then
Hold
it
on,
becomes
Mr. Geiger.
privatized?
Mr. Geiger, please observe our
To
decorum.
a private TIF.
Please observe
Do
our
I not?
decorum.
It's
Thank you.
a public financing. It goes through a public process and
No,
it
it
serves
goes
public
to
purpose.
It goes to a small group of people who control how that money is.
Okay.
General fund where the
Mr.
public
Geiger,
can weigh in.
this is not, you were asked to ask a question. He's responding back to it. I please respectfully are asking you to observe that. Thank you. Go ahead, Mayor.
But they're public funds. They serve public purposes. And again, they're the ones helping build affordable housing. They're the funds that are helping to build parks and streets and things in our neighborhoods. These are serving a lot of public purposes. And the alternative is it gets watered down through the other process, and the city doesn't get the dollars to be able to reinvest. And then the numbers just don't work. It's already tough enough to get these projects across the finish line. If you then aren't able to receive that value and reinvest it, you just won't have these projects. That's just the reality.
Thank you. Clerk Toronto.
Mr. Jesse Davis, please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Yes, Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. So again, kind of touching bases on the whole TIF thing. Prior to the TIF districts, those tax funds all went to a general fund, and that took care of the city needs. So we've cut a piece of the pie out of that general fund and we've put it in the TIF. And I totally understand what Jordan Geiger says. The TIF funds have been used in the past. We've seen it. We've shown evidence of it, used for what we consider pet projects. We spend a lot of money on wants instead of needs in this community. And we've eroded our tax base immensely. We did the 1,000 house in 1,000 days. We destroyed properties. Many of those aren't really back on the tax rolls. I know they've built some houses. They keep calling it affordable housing, but it seems like most of it is fair market rate housing, which a lot of these low income people can't afford. So when they're talking about affordable housing, we're not talking about fair market rate housing, because right now the market rate is ridiculous. Our taxes have skyrocketed through the roof, but yet our services are worse than they've ever been. This is by far not the worst winter we've had, and our roads were horrendous for extreme long periods of time. Extremely long periods. I know about plowing. I've plowed for the school city of Mishawaka for many years. So I know what plowing consists of. I know what needs to be done. It's been horrible this year for whatever reason, not just in South Bend, but other cities as well. And when you start taking away from your general fund and you're giving money to these special projects and you're throwing around these tax abatements like they're Skittles candy, I'm sorry, to me, that's not good fiscal outlook on our dollars. We're eroding that tax base, but we're crying that we don't have enough tax revenue. And I'm sorry, but I'm one person that will say I'm taxed to death, especially on properties. The tax rates here are ridiculous. And at some point, we have to start looking at stop spending money on wants and spend the money on needs. Do we need parks? Yes, we need some parks. Do we need all the extravagance in some of these parks? The bike lanes that Mayor Buttigieg brought to town that you hardly ever see a bicycle on. We spent how many thousands of dollars on these special bike lanes? I mean, I get it. It's all, looks good on paper and it looks good when you talk about it. But a lot of these things are things that we don't need. There are more important needs that need to be addressed, is what many of these people are trying to say. And, we've had so many serious issues here that have never been resolved. We were told they were being resolved. There's been a big pay to play process here in town. I mean, everybody's aware I sued the city for RICO. I should have won that court case without a doubt, but city people
Mr. Davis?
perjured themselves.
Mr.
Yes,
Davis,
yes.
is there a question concerning?
Yeah, I want my time. I don't need you interrupting me, so I'd like to have my time that you're interrupting me back. I want to know, when are we going to resolve all these serious legal issues and corruption issues within our city that have been dangling over our heads since, I don't know, 2009, 2008. I mean, there's tons of them. And I'm sorry, but the mayor himself at one point caught me and said, hey, I think this is getting ready to be handled. And this was back when we had Pete Buttigieg for mayor. And guess what? I'm still waiting for it to be handled to this day. And Mr. Mueller knows what I'm talking about, so I won't get
Mr.
any
Davis,
further in depth about it.
thank you, thank you, thank you
Yeah.
for your comments. Thank you
Accountability
very
and
much.
transparency is important, guys.
All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Clerk Dorado?
Ms. Cat, please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Ms. Redding.
Good evening, Catherine Redding and 1409 East Minor Street. So I'm just as concerned as the rest of the community. From what I'm gathering, we have a minority of the community that's saying that there's so many compound issues within our community, and just looking at the eviction rates in Indiana, South Bend is leading the way at 6.71%. So again, to reiterate what everyone is saying, that affordable housing cannot be considered affordable in its current state. And we know that this is market value of these affordable housing units, though we appreciate the new infrastructure because we know that 80% of the housing stock contains lead contaminants if it was built before 1979. But what it feels like the community is saying is that we're being forced out of this community. Many can't pay their utilities. Many are going without water. Many people are complaining about their electric rates. Many are complaining about the gas rates at this current point. And my question is to the council, excluding Oliver, of course, but and the Democrats that sit on this council. What new legislation is being put forth to safeguard the people that you have been sworn in to serve? Because what we're seeing is that the elderly are being locked into asylums pretty much in their own home, deciding if they're going to buy food or if they're going to pay for their prescriptions. They're being hit with code violations because they're not being able to keep the yard up nice, or the snow is not being removed and things like that. And so we're here as a concerned community members that as you guys as constituents, we put you into these positions. You are elected officials. You work for us. What are the measures that are being placed now, excluding Oliver Davis? Because we know that the way you guys are operating and moving right now is given very Republican. It's given very Republican. It's given very pro-Trump.
Ms. Redding, is there
I'm
is
not
there a
MAGA.
question?
MAGA.
I asked my question and I have
okay.
not. I'm gonna,
So,
okay. Reclaiming my time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
So, okay, please
Can we
allow me to
get to?
continue. Please do not interrupt me. I'm wrapping up.
I'm not trying to
I will
interrupt you,
digress.
but I just
I
want you
will
to get to
digress.
your.
I will
What's the
digress.
time,
I
Cannon? What's
will.
the time,
I
Cannon? What's the
absolutely
time?
will digress, and I'm reclaiming my time.
All right.
Thank you. Mayor Mueller, we know that these developers are not the solution. We have to find a way to use the general funds for the community, the people that live in this community. Council, please put forth real legislation that actually safeguards the community. And I'm now going to digress.
Thank you. All right. Are we done with this portion? So Mayor Mueller, do you want to respond back to anything or?
I'm good.
All right.
Been addressed.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your update. At this time, we will now get ready to move to the committee of the whole. Yes. Yes. Youth council members, please, thank you for being here today. You're now dismissed. Thank you.
Yes, President Lee, I would like to make a motion, if I may.
Yes.
We have one resolution that's on the agenda, and I'd like to move to hear Resolution 2605 prior to the Committee of the Whole.
Oh, now, is there a second? All right,
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second, and what it is to move a resolution that would be later down on the agenda up. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. All right, resolutions. So I'll do
Good
that.
evening, council members. Eric Glavich, Director of Growth and Opportunity, will be down in just a moment.
Okay. Well, let me
maybe
just
left the
read
office,
this.
but-
Resolutions, this is the portion of the council meetings where the common council hear bills filed as proposed resolutions. The title of each proposed resolution is read by the city clerk. A report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee to which the bill was referred to for an advisory review and recommendation is then given. During the public portion on each proposed resolutions, members of the public are invited to address the council. We ask that you please give your name, address, and comments on the bill. And if you have any questions, they will be addressed by the presenter during their rebuttal. Each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes, with those speaking in favor going first, followed by those in opposition, then a 5-minute rebuttal from the presenter. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Resolution 2605 a reading?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 2614-2626 South Main Street, South Bend, Indiana 46614, and 109 West Ekman Street, South Bend, Indiana 46614, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 6-year real property tax abatement for David A. Newfer LLC.
All right, is there a committee report?
Resolution, and we send it to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
All right. Petitioner, I ask that you state your name and address for the record and give us your report.
Eric Glavich, Director of Growth and Opportunity, with offices on the 5th floor of this building. Thank you for the opportunity to present this declaratory resolution to the Common Council for your consideration. This declaratory resolution concerns currently vacant property that's on the south side of South Bend at the corner of Main Street and Ekman. This is just north of the parking lot of the Bob Miller's appliance store. You can see the image that it's vacant with the exception of a small shed that's on the northeastern end of the property. The presentation that I'm providing here is concerning a potential Burton's Laundry that would be built at this property. David A. Newfer LLC and Burton's Laundry are under common ownership, and David A. Newfer LLC would be the taxpayer. Instead of a vacant lot, this is a rendering of what we could see at this property. And we come to the Common Council asking for your support for tax abatement as an incentive to have this investment made into this neighborhood, an area that hasn't seen
A rich white man.
much investment. The project is basically a brand new building on this vacant lot, as I'd said. It would be a 4,600 square foot facility at the northeast corner of this property. The project costs are about $2 million. Of that $2 million, 1.2 would go into the building and about $800,000 would go into the equipment. through this project and the opening of a new Burton's Laundry, we would expect, per the petition, that there would be 4 new jobs created. Quick numbers in terms of the
4
estimates.
jobs for $2 million.
Okay, Mr. Geiger, if you interrupt again, you will be muted and will not be able to participate in the rest of this meeting. I'm sorry. I'm respectfully asking you to not do that. Please.
Thank you. The tax abatement estimates that we've calculated are based on, the project costs that we have provided. Right now, it's essentially a vacant lot and is bringing in about $1,300 a year in property taxes. Without any abatement, if this project were to continue, we estimate that we'd be looking at roughly $25,000 a year in property taxes that a project like this would bring into the community. During the 6-year proposed tax abatement, we offer up a tax abatement that would equal about $112,000. During those 6 years, this property would generate about $41,000, however. Much higher than what we see currently where this is a vacant lot. You can see the numbers provided here on the screen in terms of, with this project moving forward, with this tax abatement as an incentive for this project, as we look 10, 20 years down the line, the estimated revenues that would come in from this project far outweigh what is currently there as a vacant lot. So I will pause there. I'm happy to answer any questions related to the specifics associated with this tax abatement. And I know that the petitioner is here as well, and he can answer questions as well.
Thanks, Eric. Mr. President, Council, thank you for the opportunity and the consideration of this tax abatement. We want to build something similar we did on William Street 3 years ago now, except for no rental space where we rented that out. I think it'd be a gigantic project for the south side of South Bend. There's been little to no development except for, I think, one convenience store on the south side. I've done my homework. I've went up and down the streets, and it's a lot of money for a laundromat facility. But long-term, which is, I think, what the council's looking at, is a long-term investment, not only for myself as a business, but long-term for the taxpayers of the city of South Bend, because there's been no development on that property. My understanding, that property's been vacant for 15 years. So I appreciate the consideration. It also, in return, we plan on reducing the price of 10 to 12% of what we charge at our other facilities throughout the city, except for the store on William Street, which we agreed to with that tax abatement of reducing the prices. So the clientele, our customers, will have a better opportunity at a less expense for those individuals. So I appreciate the consideration. I'd also like to thank Eric and his staff and my wife, who did 99% of this work. Eric was just outstanding in working with to get to this point in time. So thank you.
Okay. Before I go to council member questions, I just want people to look at that pre-project estimated annual taxes is $1,300. That's what the city is currently getting now. After this project is done, it'll be $40,000 of taxes paid. Even with the tax abatement, still $25,000, correct? So a property and so people always talk about you giving away money, you giving away tax abatements. No, what it is an investment in a place that is only bringing in $1,300 a year. And as that property begins to develop, in the end, it'll be $40,000 of taxes paid. And so again, it is not that anybody is giving anybody any money. It's the incentive.
Well, he donates to y'all.
Dave
He's a
Matthews.
donor to you all.
Dave
right?
Matthews.
He's a donor.
Okay,
Dave Matthews.
Mr. Geiger.
Dave Matthews.
Mr. Geiger, I've asked several times that you not interrupt, and so now
I won't do it again. I'm sorry. I'll wait for my time.
No,
I'll wait for my
you'll be muted. Sorry. because we read in the beginning, any disrespectful, rude, or comments will forfeit the person's right to speak. So since you have interrupted 4 times tonight, they will mute
I wish it
you.
was 5.
At this time, President Lee, I'd like to request a 5-minute break. In fact, I'll make a motion to take a 5-minute break.
Right.
Second.
It's been motion and second. All in agreement?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, we'll take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's so much stuff up here. I gotta lean over here on the thing and now. Oh, let me see.
Well, no, that's why I texted her. Yeah. When I heard Sheila make the motion, I was like, oh. Yeah. I don't know if you heard, I was stalling. Eric's on his way down, yeah. Even. Still, you're not recognizing. Evan, how you doing? Good. Yeah, it's chaos. Just. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to juggle it. But, yeah, we would love to try. Yeah, what I'd like to do is, so when he got this year, really kind of do monitors. Because he needs his bank wouldn't get any finance. That's just. Yeah. I just want to scale over. Which I'm still not. Yeah, no, I can check tomorrow and see what time I have it. How long? My last day. Yeah, no, I just always appreciate what's done, so just looking for. Okay, good to see you. Thank you. It's always interesting. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We made. Yeah. 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 I'll have to pay some of my water bill. Our gas bill. She's going in. Oh, nice. Yeah. This building here. Church for one. They want some of that. I tell them, well, that's an example. Oh, yeah. That's what. I'm still thinking, I mean, I do, I haven't been to California. Didn't do a good job. Yeah. Yeah. Getting ready to finish, ready to go back to TV.
All right, we're getting ready to call the meeting back into session. Um, we now go to the council, you were done with the presentation, correct?
Yeah, I'm just here to answer
Okay,
questions.
now we'll go to council members. Are there any questions for the council members? All right, at this point, we'll go to the public hearing portion. Clerk Torado, does anyone from the public wish to speak in favor?
I do not see anyone from the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
I have one individual online, and that is Mr. Jesse Davis.
Okay. Mr. Davis, please unmute yourself and
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. So again, I just want to reiterate the whole tax abatement thing because you decided to claim that, okay, we're going to be making more taxes. The problem with the tax abatements, a lot of these businesses are going to carry on doing business even if they don't get a tax abatement. But we've turned it into something that it's almost a guarantee given. And that's why I say we're giving the money away. This particular business has been in business in this area for years and years and years. And if they want to build on that part of town, they're most likely going to build there regardless. Granted, they'll probably now claim they wouldn't build there without the tax abatement, but I don't buy that because prior to tax abatements, we still had these investments in our community.
Thank you, sir. Do you want to respond back to that rebuttal?
There are many cases where when we speak with petitioners that it's made clear that, these projects can't move forward without something like a tax abatement. Especially in areas where you see minimal investment, if this project were to not continue, there's no incentive to build on this lot. It continues to be an empty lot. You can see the bottom picture there. With a project like this moving in, you have foot traffic, you have, vehicle traffic in an area where you might not see it otherwise. Mr. Newford, during the 415 community investment meeting, had talked about, how Bob Millers was excited that there's going to be investment here at this property because, the residual impact of having foot traffic, additional vehicle traffic, people actually going there, it's going to bring liveliness to the neighborhood. So we ask that you support this tax abatement resolution. So thank you.
All right. At this point, the public hearing, was one more? Okay.
We have a Miss Barbara Brownell. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Barbara Brownell. I live at 1407 Sunnymead Avenue. I think when you have a display of all the facts and figures of the money, abated, paid, will pay, and you talk about that there's 4 jobs, it would be nice if the public knew what these 4 jobs will pay. And it would be greater yet if they're receiving a tax abatement, but maybe there's a minimum amount that with a tax abatement they have to pay. Because I know that there was another business that got a tax abatement, and I looked in for a job at the location and the pay was dismal. And I think if we're trying to uplift the community and say not only are we getting taxes, but we're getting jobs, what do those jobs pay? So my question is, what are these jobs going to pay at this laundromat?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm not going to disclose the pay of my employees at a council meeting. However, I will repeat what I said, that the dollar amount that we charge for the customer that comes into our facility will be reduced by 10 to 12%, will be more of a savings to my clientele than the tax abatement that I am receiving for the 6 years. And we will keep that abatement, that lower price in place the entire time of the abatement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else? Victoria?
1 second.
Mr. Geiger, please feel free to put your comment in the chat
Why can't I say my comment?
because there'll be a constant disruption at the meeting.
Okay, I won't do it again. Can I make my comment, please?
No.
That's the 3rd time you said you wouldn't do it again.
So Clerk Toronto, is there anyone else? All right. At this point, the public hearing portion is closed. Anyone else that wants to put a comment, you can put it in the chat and we will have it in the record. Councilwoman McBride.
Thank you, President. I would just like to say, thank you. I know prior to me being on council, I know that this is in the 5th district, but it borders the 3rd district. And I know that there's no launder service over in the 5th or 3rd district and that it's been a great need for that. I know the community and the neighborhood plans had asked for a laundromat. And I know that specifically the Southeast neighborhood had been a bit advocate of asking for that along with 466 Works. So I welcome, I've been asking for a long time for revitalization in the 5th, well, particularly on Main and Michigan Street and in that area. So I am happy to know that people will now have access, the people in that neighborhood that don't have access to do laundry services will have that opportunity. So I'm excited to welcome it to our bordering neighborhood. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Now I'd like to echo Councilwoman McBride, very thankful for this laundromat coming into that neighborhood. It made me think of a young lady I picked up from school, and then maybe she can work there while she goes to college because it's close to her house. So thank you for developing in that area.
All right. Anyone else? I would just like to say that, you know, it's one thing when we have people who come into our community from the outside who only want to take from our community and only want to get what they can get and not care. But it's really great that we have someone who not only cares about our community, but has been consistent in our community and is constantly giving back. And in an area that residents need a laundromat, to many people, that may not be a big issue, but dealing with the clients that I've had to deal with, laundry is a huge, huge, huge necessity for people. And to be able to have a place that's going to be built and be professional and be nice and have people who give back to the community in so many different ways. It's for me, that's the reason why I would support this, is because the consistency of the character of the owners. They have been giving back to South Bend, Mishawaka, Elkhart. Is it 60 years?
Since 1961.
Since 1961. Little over 60 years. I couldn't do the math fast in my head. But, and again, to all of those that are listening, if a property is only bringing in $1,300 and then it be whatever more than $1,300 that it brings in, that's an increase, that's an investment. And when we see people putting their money into areas that other people won't invest in, instead of tearing people down, we should applaud that. And we should be, you know, supportive of that. And so again, thank you for your investment in various parts of South Bend. Anyone else? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
8 ayes.
All right. Resolution 2605 has been adopted.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to go into the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Okay, I'm filling in for Councilman Warner tonight, so I haven't done this in a few years. So I'll do my best to get us through the Committee of the Whole. So the Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading and public hearing. I wish to share with you that all the bills that will be given a second reading and a public hearing have had a first reading and set for committee meeting and public hearing prior to this evening. In addition, you will hear from the chairperson of the committee where the bill was discussed and the results of their discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation of the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. And we are going to start with
Me.
Clerk Toronto. Could you give Bill 2-26 a reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1114 Mayflower Road, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you so much. Is there a committee report?
Yes, there is. The zoning annexation committee met this afternoon, and we bring Bill 0226 to the full council with no recommendation because of the presenter was not available this afternoon. I don't know if they are here now. Are they here now? So since they're here now, then we said we'll bring it that way so it could be heard now.
Okay, thank you so much for that report. If you want to go ahead and present your name and address for the record and give us your key points regarding the bill, and then we'll hear the petitioner as well.
Good evening, council members. My name is Brian Killen, zoning administrator with offices on the 5th floor of this building. So this is Bill 02-26. This is a special exception by the owners of 1114 South Mayflower Road to permit a daycare center. It's a suburban 1 district. The property contains a building, as you can see here looking east. It's an existing building that at one point was a daycare center. It sat vacant for several years, so we're reestablishing that use through the special exception process as required by the zoning ordinance. We feel a daycare center would fit with the use, with the residential nature of an S1. And it comes to you with, as Dr. Davis said, no recommendation from the Zoning and Annexation Committee. However, the petitioner is online at this moment, and he can say his comments about his application.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Do you have any comments you would like to make? If so, if you could give me your name and address for the record. Is the petitioner online?
Believe
Yes. Initially, my mic was disabled. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Turner. I reside at 50771 Hollyhock Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46637. First of all, thank you. Good evening, everyone. A very full evening. I was unable to get on time earlier, so I appreciate the committee moving the recommendation or moving the appeal forward. Last year, I want to say about this time, we got a zoning appeal, and it was approved for a early childhood program. And in all transparency, it was meant to be a daycare center. In that time, my wife and I, at our current address, are pursuing a licensed home daycare. And one of the things we heard from the state's advisor, and that's not the best way, I want to say the state's counselor. Anyway, the person who is helping us through the process is just the overwhelming support that families need. We talk about families who have depended and will need to pursue vouchers for these types of services and support, and how far out new approvals would be. So we continue to be committed with our partners to be able to serve that community as it has been served in the past under a different ownership. And so again, the request, the appeal is for the property to be able to house a daycare center, and open to any questions or clarification.
Okay, thank you so much. I will bring it back to our council members. Is there any questions?
I have a question.
Sure, council member Gooden
Thank you.
Rogers.
I think I heard you say.
Barry Simpson.
Okay. I thought I heard my name, and that's right. I thought I heard you say, you will be accepting vouchers, for, parents that will bring their children there for
Yes,
daycare?
we're open to accepting or community families who also qualify, because we will also be seeking to be able to qualify for that as well. The intent is not to be so exclusionary as to not be able to support the community that we're part of.
Appreciate that. What will be your, the hours?
Currently working with our partner, we're seeking to do a 7 a.m. start to 5:30 p.m. That's the initial dry run. Hopefully not to get earlier and not to go go later. But we are open to unique situations and circumstances that will support individual families.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? President Lee?
Yes. How soon do you, once this passes, how soon will you guys be ready to open up your childcare facility?
So you're putting me on blast. You're putting me on blast. But the goal is within 9 to 12 months. The reality is we missed an opportunity to partner with a strong service provider who had done this work. And so we're hoping to re-engage them within the next 9 to 12 months, if not sooner.
And is this a registered childcare ministry, or will this be a licensed childcare facility?
License, yeah. Previously, under a different ownership, it was a ministry. The intent here is to be a licensed daycare center.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Is there any other council members that have any questions? Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and showing up here for the meeting for us to answer our questions.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, and we appreciate your potential investment. Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 20-26?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Who is this John? I do see someone with their hand up online.
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on Bill 20-26. I will bring it back here to the council members. What is the pleasure regarding this bill to council?
I make a motion that Bill 0226 be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Torado, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner. I'm sorry, it's not here. Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
8 ayes.
Okay, thank you so much. -2-26 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Okay, we're going to move on to the next bill, which is 3-26. Clerk Torado, could you give that bill a second reading, please?
Chair, can we suspend the rules and have 036, 26 and 426 read together and voted on separate? Presented together and voted separately.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion to hear Bill 3-26 and 4-26 together, moved and seconded. Can we do that by acclamation? Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Could you give both bills?
Yes.
Thank you.
0326, public hearing on an ordinance on the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1307 Corby Boulevard, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana. 0426, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for property located at 1301 Corby Boulevard, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you so much. Did you read both bills? I'm sorry, I kind of lost track.
Yes,
did.
you
Okay.
did.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Appreciate that. Okay, if you want to go ahead and present.
Yes, Madam Chair. This afternoon, the Zoning and Annexation Committee heard both Bill 0326 and 0426 regarding Corby homes, the properties on Corby. And we bring both of these bills to you with a favorable recommendation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're
We're going to go to our presenter.
Brian Killen, zoning administrator with office on the 5th floor. Again, it's 0326 and 04-26, special exceptions for a dwelling 2 unit. They're slightly different, but both, meet the Northeast Neighborhood Plan of low density for Corby Boulevard. What we're seeing here is 1307. That's the current house, will be set for demolition to accommodate the side-by-side duplex, which you can see the aerial here. The side-by-side duplex would only have 32% building coverage if you consider the home and the garage, which is under our requirements. This is a elevation view of what the building would look like. Again, it's on a larger lot, so it's slightly larger in width. Moving on to 1301, it's the house in the middle. You can actually see another, so that when the petitioner comes up, you can actually see another one of their projects at 1253 Corby. It's that new duplex on the left there. At the end, there will be 3 duplexes in the row here. But 1301 is that middle 1-story home that would be also slated for demolition. This is a narrower duplex, it's a narrower lot, so it's about 47 building coverage when built, and both will accommodate access from the rear alley. This is a elevation view of the narrow side-by-side duplex for 1301. So that was kind of a speed through those two, very similar, just different lots. So one is a narrow duplex side-by-side, one's a slightly larger duplex side-by-side.
Okay, thank you so much. And you did go over that. I know I asked that question directly during
Yeah, I
the
wanted to add
committee.
that in. So yeah, the lot sizes are on there. So 1301 is about 40 by 168. And then the other one was about 60 by 170 in terms of lot. So
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Sure.
Again, would the petitioner like to come up and say a few words about her project?
Thank you. Alyssa Gonzorek. My address is 7821 Morse Road, New Albany, Ohio, 43054. As I mentioned in the 5 o'clock meeting, these smaller projects, this will be my third. We're happy to be here in South Bend investing. We are using these smaller projects as a catalyst to enable us to invest long-term in the city. We recently acquired a vacant building at the corner of Michigan Street and Wayne. That is across the street from the old library. And we're hoping to redevelop that later this year. The success of these projects will enable us to continue to move forward with projects like that as a long-term investment in the city. As far as these particular projects, we worked very carefully designing a product that would blend seamlessly with the neighborhood and single-family homes in the neighborhood, and feel like we have come up with a good plan. When you're driving by, that it would not stick out as something abnormal in the neighborhood. Looks more like a single-family home until you really look at it. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming up. Council members, I'll bring it back to the council. Do you have any questions?
President Lee?
How soon will you guys start building these or demolishing the house and building?
Within a couple months.
She said, he asked when she would be building it, and she replied within a couple months.
We have to, we'd obviously have to go through the building
Mhm.
permit process and all that.
Is there any other questions from council members? No? Great, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill? We're going to take them one at a time. They were heard together. The first one will be Bill 3-26.
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak against?
Again, Mr. Geiger, please type your comment in the chat.
Okay, there's no one, I see no one present to speak against. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing on Bill 3-26 and bring it back to the council. What is the pleasure of the council regarding the bill?
Just question.
Yes, Dr. Davis?
So those of us who don't have access to the chat or not in it, could we read what's in the chat so we know what questions are being asked? Because I think that's only fair.
Of course.
I mean, somebody read that? Because there's questions that people may be asking in the chat and we don't know.
So far, he hasn't put anything in regarding this bill.
Okay, so if they just do, future, that's all I would ask. Thank you, sir.
Right, which is why I closed the public hearing.
I understand.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any motion regarding Bill 3-26 that will go to the full council for a recommendation?
I make a motion that 03-26 go to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 3-26 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. We're going to move to Bill 4-26. We've heard the presentation. They were heard together. Is there anyone from the public? I'm going to open up the public hearing that would like to speak in favor of Bill 4-26.
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against? I see no one in the chamber wishing to speak against the bill. I see no one that's speaking against, and I see nothing in the chat, and I don't see, well, I do see, what is this?
Continue.
Okay, can I close the public
You can
hearing?
close the public
Okay,
hearing,
thank
yes.
you for clarification. I don't want to do something wrong. I would like to go ahead and close the public hearing on Bill 4-26 and bring it back to the council. Is there a motion regarding Bill 4-26 to be sent to the full council?
I make a motion that 0426 be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
There's been a motion and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 4-26 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Okay, we're going to move on to the next bill. That is Bill 5-26. Clerk Toronto, could you give that a second reading, please?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing the city to issue one or more series of its taxable economic development revenue bonds and approving and authorizing other actions in respect thereto in connection with the Colfax Corner ML LLC project.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We have Mr. Bauer in front of us.
Good evening, council members. Caleb Bauer, Executive Director of Community Investment Offices on the 5th floor of this building.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I do
Community-
need to
it's
get a
committee
committee report.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy to report that the community investment sends Bill 05-26 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you so much, Councilmember White. Appreciate that. Okay, now the floor is all yours, Mr. Bauer.
All right, before you today is ordinance authorizing the issuance of taxable economic development bonds related to the newly established Innovation Development District in the downtown area and supporting the Colfax Corner project. So as a quick summary, we are in the process of establishing an Innovation Development District, which is a tax capture tool in the downtown area that will allow us to retain two forms of state taxes, both state income tax and state sales tax, retain those incremental taxes here within our community. So when the mayor was talking about revenue sources earlier this evening, this is a completely new revenue stream for the city, one we would not normally be able to access but for the new IDD agreement with the state of Indiana that causes these revenues to be remitted locally. That agreement, in summary, allows us to retain up to $15 million of those state taxes annually. Over the 30-year term, we have a state maximum contribution of $224 million to be retained here within our community per the agreement with the state of Indiana negotiated between IDC and the administration. There's significant return on investment for the state as well. We believe that values generated in the IDD district may far exceed the amount of funds remitted locally, and so ultimately can add to the state's GDP and add to the state's tax base in addition to our local property tax base. Jumping ahead to the resolution, the ordinance itself, it would authorize the issuance of taxable economic development bonds in relation to the Colfax Corner project. We went through the steering committee, but I'll run through a few key metrics here. This is a redevelopment and new construction project at the corner of Lafayette Boulevard and Colfax Avenue, where the former South Bend Tribune building is today, and then on the corner of Colfax Ave and Main Street, which is currently occupied by the Main Street Row properties. It will be $154 million total investment, which will bring more than 400 jobs into the downtown to occupy more than 200,000 square feet of currently vacant or unconstructed space, causing more than $750 million in direct economic impact over the next 10 years. 35% of the square footage of this development will house University of Notre Dame faculty and staff. And then the remaining square footage of the property would be for research partners, other tenants to be brought into the innovation district. 90% of construction will be conducted using local labor. And really, this is a partnership. There's a private developer, Ancora, and then the University of Notre Dame is the anchor tenant, again, occupying about a third of the space initially. This is just a rendering showing the courtyard space. The Tribune building is on your left, the existing building, and then the new construction building is shown in the background there with a sky bridge between them. I think getting down to what are the nuts and bolts of the deal proposed here. So the $154 million total investment would be a commitment from the developer, the 202,000 leasable square feet, more than 400 FTEs on site with 340 additional temporary construction jobs. And then the developer would purchase a developer-backed bond. So what the bond that's proposed before you today does is it essentially pledges future increment generated specifically by this project, both property tax increment and then state sales, and state income tax that are then monetized in the form of a financing and purchased upfront by the development entity. So we're able to bring cash into the project as an incentive that is only using future tax payments generated by the project. So it doesn't cost the city any cash today, and it just uses future tax revenues paid by the developer. This is a very low risk incentive because if the debt service obligations are not met by revenues generated by this project, the city is not on the hook to pay those. That is the developer's risk that they carry. And as well, just want to note, these types of financings do not impact the city's bond rating because there is no risk of the city having to incur debt service payments from other sources of revenue for these types of economic development tools. And so it does not impact our overall bond rating. The only other commitment on the city side is some shared solution planning around stormwater management. The downtown area has primarily separated sewer systems, or excuse me, primarily combined sewer systems. It is challenging to maintain stormwater retention on site in an urban core. Typically, elsewhere in the city, you can do that if you've got grass, you've got space for retention, or even underground retention underneath parking lots. In the downtown area, as we work to redevelop the urban core, that will become more of an issue. And so we have been looking as part of the downtown master plan, looking at broader solutions in areas of the downtown to serve multiple development sites and make sure that we can manage their stormwater effectively. So that's targeted separation or just targeted dedicated stormwater lines that are not part of the combined system. Today, we're at kind of the major step 3 in the process of this economic development agreement and this authorization. Should you choose to move forward tonight, the final approval required would be by the South Bend Redevelopment Commission at their meeting this Thursday. After that point, we would be in a position to move forward and schedule a bond closing. That would likely occur over the next few months. It wouldn't be immediate. We'd work to pull all those things together and move towards closing. We do have representatives from the development team here tonight. I know they spoke at committee, and if there's anything they'd like to add, they can step up. We also have Emma Adlam from Baker Tilly, our municipal finance advisor, is online, and Tom Everett from Barnes and Thornburg, our outside counsel, is also online if you have any questions for any of them.
I just have a question.
Or for me, yeah.
Thank you so much. Does anybody else that's here want to come up and speak, or they just want to field questions from council? Okay. Thank you so much, Caleb. I appreciate it.
I think that might be a member of the public.
Oh, that's a member. We're not here for the public hearing portion yet. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to council members. Council member Davis, Dr. Davis.
I truly enjoy and I appreciate this idea. Just wondering about with all the parking, what's the plan for the parking for the amount of people coming down? I saw the the place where they were eating and all those kind of things. With that amount of people coming down to the downtown parking area with traffic going left and right and everything else, what will that entail the city to have to do?
Yeah.
Because our current parking structures are not good, and I know that's going to be an everyday thing.
That's a great question and something we've talked a lot about. So our existing public parking portfolio does have capacity in the downtown area to absorb some parking. But as well, we've got a few new parking garages that would be coming online in the near future. The Madison Lifestyle District garage, which is a block to the north. And then we are working to bring before you in the future agreements related to the parking garage that would be connected to the Morris. So the phase 3 of the Morris, which has been a longstanding goal of the administration. So you wouldn't absorb all the parking in one place. It would need to be in a few different locations as well. There are some surface lots to the west of the property, the development property, that could absorb some surface parking as well. So it's not going to be one centralized location. It will be a little decentralized, but we've looked at that and we think the portfolio can absorb that.
And when it comes down to the eating, that goes along with eating restaurants and all the other things that are going to happen, because that's going to definitely help with downtown eating availabilities and more people coming in, being able to do that. So I just think that the way we design our downtown parking is great, because a few years ago, we switched the way that the parking is, where we slant now, and that really helped. So as we look at being creative for that parking, we're working with our transit to do a lot of things. Even I know when I was on Transpo, we were talking about when we were envisioning something like this downtown, we were looking at trolleys to do something to carry people back and forth. But of course, we didn't have the traffic at the time then. But things like this will help us to be able to really bring more traffic options to the people who travel downtown.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions from council? No? Okay. All right, thank you so much, Caleb.
Thank you.
This may be one of the last presentations I believe that I will be present for you. You're
Yes,
leaving.
yeah, I believe will be my last council meeting, except as a resident in the future, and look forward to joining for those as well.
I'm sure you'll be here at every one.
We know
Thank
your
you-
number.
Thank you so
We
much.
know how to reach you. You can't go too far.
Okay, well, I'm going to open it up then for the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5-26? If you want to approach the podium, sir, and state your name and address for the record. And what's the time? Is it 5? Yeah, 5 minutes. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Donald Crafton, and I live at 17590 Green Oaks Court in Granger. And I'm here on behalf of the Fishoff National Chamber Music Association, which is a national organization with its headquarters here in South Bend. And we are one of the potential tenants that are in discussion with Notre Dame to come into the building. And I speak in my capacity as the chair of the Space Committee of the Fishoff. And our executive director, Josh Airy, couldn't be here tonight. The chairman of the board, Dr. Harriet Hamer, is here. We are in favor of this. We think it has the potential of being a very lively and a progressive addition to the downtown scene. We think that that area needs revitalization. This is a very good way to do it. We have some questions for Mr. Bauer or the developers or anyone who would care to comment. And for our perspective, we have basically, excuse me, 3 issues. One is, what is the impact on the public transportation? Because if this is going to be a lively and energetic scene, people have to be going to and from it in addition to parking once they get there. Will there, for example, be more frequent shuttles between the Notre Dame campus and the Colfax Corner? Because most, if not the majority of the traffic during the day will be Notre Dame students and faculty going backwards and forwards. There are plans to have classes meet there. A second concern is security. The Fishoff has a very intensive commitment to public education. As you may know, we connect with thousands of students in the area. And we also have a Notre Dame Music Academy. This has secondary and elementary grade students who come in after class, after hours, and in the early evenings for lessons and recitals and such. And then we have our staff who is going to be there until late hours, often doing the work of their organization and international relations and so forth. The staff is very concerned about the security of that area. And third, we wonder what the cultural mix of the Colfax Corner will be. In the press release that we read in the paper over the weekend, there was a strong emphasis on high-tech and engineering types of concerns. There weren't really any specific mentions of the arts and cultural component. Originally, this was called the Talent and Tech Project,
And we want to make sure that we don't forget about the talent part of the equation. Specifically, in addition to the fish off, would there be spaces for other community artists or arts organizations in the area? These are the questions and concerns that we present really in a desire just to have more information. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your questions. I don't know if there is someone here that maybe could address those. Is there someone? Hi, how are you? So what I heard was impact on public transportation, safety, young children, staff, and the cultural mix at the location.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate the time tonight and appreciate all of the questions. My name is Peter Isaac. I'm in from Oak Park, Illinois, 325 Northeast Avenue, Oak Park. And I'm representing Ancora. We're the developer and a partner with Notre Dame. Ancora is a developer that works on innovation communities in partnership with universities across the country. And the types of questions that were asked tonight are exactly the questions that we work to answer with the communities and with our partners, because they are always the most prominent questions and the most important elements of vitality and life for innovation and growth to happen. What we've done so far is worked very closely with the university and the city to make sure that what we're developing is aligned with the Downtown South Bend 2045 plan, to ensure that what we are doing is creating a catalyst for not just this phase, but for future growth outside of this phase. And that takes into account a lot of the considerations that were embedded in the questions. From a transportation standpoint, it continues to be something that we evaluate with the city, with parking, with Notre Dame and transportation, but also taking into account some of the metrics that have already been put in place, like the parking, the bike trails. So we have a bike room in our facility to encourage people to have bike traffic. We also have a real focus within the city and within our district of having a very walkable downtown. And so making sure that it's well lit within our footprint and then expansive outside of it is one of our drivers to make sure that transportation happens in multiple forms and is comfortable for multiple people. From a safety and security standpoint, especially late at night, this is always one of the top questions and of utmost importance to us. A lot of times when we work with universities and where we work with innovation communities, it's not just a 9 to 5 type of environment. It's really intended to be an 18-hour environment that creates safety and security with well-lit, highly visible spaces and a lot of activity that will be visible from the street and internal to the community. And so we continue to work to prioritize not only the perception of safety, but the real feeling of safety and security and the availability of that. And then the third question was the cultural component. And again, a priority for us is making sure that we have a blend of uses and users, that this is not just a building where tenants occupy, but that the community can use it. So there are public spaces that are available in the form of the courtyard that you were shown. The ground floor is intended to be porous and open. And with that comes an opportunity for a tremendous amount of input from the community as it relates to arts and the culture that surrounds it. Ancora has done a development recently that was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Electric Works facility. And we had a tremendous program around engaging public artists to ensure that we had a local element of the art and a reflection of the people.
Well, wow. Thank you so much for for coming up and giving us that input on the question that the gentleman had about those 3 very important elements, which sound like they're pretty standard that you hear, but they are it's true. Transportation, safety, cultural, those are all the things any city, I think, wants to see. Thank you.
That is true. I know what this is.
Well, this
a
is
different type of. I know he came up in a different section, but I just have one question. And you said you work with other cities and universities that do this kind of a thing?
That's correct.
Do you have other models that address exactly what you just talked about, that address the transportation, address the evenings, the bikes, or whatever? Because about 70% of our time will be in snow, so bikes may not be in. But you know what I'm saying? In terms of this kind of weather, everything else, and if you already have some models of other cities that you could share with our council, with those that are doing it, I think that would be very helpful because this is not your first rodeo with doing something like this, is it? You've done something like this before.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a really interesting question. There's a tremendous amount of best practices that we always apply, but every community we go into, we really work to customize the solution to ensure that it's representative of the people and the place here.
Oh, yeah, I agree with, but it's nice to even get some ideas what others have done. I mean, we don't have to stick with them, but it just gives us some idea. That's all.
Thank you so much. Okay. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5-26?
Council, my name is Nat Graybill. I reside at 905 West Colfax Avenue, but I'm here on behalf of South Bend City Church, which is at 226 North Lafayette, which is the nearest stakeholder to this project. But want to offer our support, and we understand that any project in the scope of this magnitude comes with questions and concerns, and no doubt will have some upsides and downsides. But we also believe that there's no future for any of us if it's not for all of us. And we really believe that in order for South Bend and Notre Dame to thrive, we need each other. We've been really grateful for the posture of the university and Cora sitting down with us and other stakeholders in the neighborhood to understand a little bit more about what's already happening in the neighborhood and how they can help it thrive as well. So we're grateful for that, especially as we've entered into the neighborhood ourselves, bringing new life to a historic building. We're excited to see a building get new life that has happened for us with the Boys and Girls Club and our church. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephen Haynes. Good evening. I am the current new executive director of South Bend Symphony Orchestra, resident at 201 West Mishawaka, and office address just around the corner, 127 North Michigan. And I'm very intrigued and thrilled to hear about this project that is being developed, and look forward to working with Notre Dame and look forward to working with the developer and Cora to ensure that this property is being developed to its best potential, but also ensuring that it embraces the arts venues that are already in existence. The mayor spoke about previously at the beginning of his session, the recent unveiling of the beautiful new Racklin Murphy Encore Center. So we want to make sure that those 340 or 400 new employees at this Colfax Corner are simply walking across the street as well and engaging with the arts that exist, of which this city has made a tremendous investment in already. This state has a tremendous lead in the arts, nearly a $9 billion impact in the state. Even while we see decreased funding from the state, with just last year alone, a nearly 50% reduction from the Indiana Arts Commission. So the more people we can bring downtown, I know downtown South Bend would also love that organization. And on average, there's a minimum $30 spend per arts patron in addition to ticket revenue concessions at the venues. So they are spending out on the street at your restaurants, our restaurants, and other facilities as well. So again, we look forward from South Bend Symphony, we look forward to working with these partners and ensuring that we have a dynamic downtown and arts hub and community.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I have to say, is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, please come up. Yeah, it's exciting to hear the fish off coming here. I mean, that is like such a tremendous, I mean,
It is.
That's a very exciting.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello, Kevin Smith, 65 South Lafayette Street. And I applaud that this is a good indication of what we're doing in 2045, the mission. And I'm part of the Renaissance District, Studebaker. I've been in the neighborhood a little bit. So I think that's going to be fantastic. It'll establish a boundary reinvestment on the north side as we're trying to do the same on the south side. Things that are happening in the middle of the city. It helps me, even though it's on the north, because it's clear to outside resources that our
Mhm.
community's moving forward. So
Yep.
I just wanted to put my comments forward.
Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate your comments very much. We appreciate everyone's comments. Anybody else here wishing to speak in favor? Anybody online wishing to speak in favor?
I do not have anyone else wishing to speak in favor, but I do have
Okay.
2 oppositions.
Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak against? And we'll take those in the chamber first, please, if there's anyone wishing to speak against. Seeing none, we'll move to the virtual part of it.
Yes. I have Mr. William Elliott Smith.
Mr. Smith, if you could list your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Smith, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can we move on to the next?
Give us 1 second.
Okay.
Mr. Sam
right,
Spark,
Mayor.
just give us 1 second, please.
Can you hear me
Mr.
now?
Smith, go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
President and members of the Common Council. My name is William Elliott Smith, Esquire. My identified address is 728 Whitehall Drive, South Bend, Indiana, 46615, and I rise tonight to address a fundamental legal issue concerning the proposed Innovation Development District for the Colfax Corner project. Under Indiana Code 36442, municipal powers are divided between the executive and legislative branches. Appropriation, taxation, and the pledge or diversion of public revenues are legislative powers. Under Indiana Code 36471 and following, appropriations must be made by ordinance of this body. The executive may recommend and administer, but it may not independently bind the city to long-term fiscal obligations. If agreements with the IEDC contemplate the capture or diversion of property taxes, revenue participation, fiscal caps, or long-term commitments, and those agreements have not been expressly ratified by ordinance of this council, then they are ultra vires, beyond executive authority, and voidable under Indiana law. Indiana courts have been clear on this point. In City of Michigan City versus Austin, the Court of Appeals held that municipal officers cannot bind a city beyond lawful appropriations. In City of Indianapolis versus Juan, the court reaffirmed that public funds cannot be expended without legislative authorization. Earlier today in committee, Mr. Caleb Bowers stated that these IDD documents would be provided to me. As of this evening, they have not been provided to me, nor, to my knowledge, to this council in full. A legislative body cannot meaningfully ratify what it has not seen. Confidentiality provisions cannot override your constitutional and statutory oversight authority. Accordingly, I respectfully request that you make a motion to postpone Ordinance 05-26 indefinitely until full disclosure of all referenced agreements, side letters, and fiscal terms is provided. I further recommend that you move to adopt the legislative ratification and transparency resolution to preserve your authority and protect the city from ultra vires fiscal commitments. This resolution does not cancel development. It does not breach a contract. It simply declares that no agreement is binding unless and until this council receives full disclosure and expressly ratifies it. This is about process, legality, and the preservation of the council's power of the purse. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against the bill?
Yes, we have Mr. Sam Spark. You may unmute yourself and state your name and address, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sam Smart, 330 West Colfax. I reside at High Street Apartments, or Central High Apartments, I'm sorry. I'm speaking in against this proposal because I don't feel that there has been enough engagement with residents who live in the area. I'm concerned about
We lost you. Mr. Spark? Mr. Spark, are you still with us? I don't see him on here. Has he left the?
He's still unmuted.
He is still unmuted. Would you like to
Hello?
continue? Yes, we lost
Can
you.
you hear me? Can
We
you hear
can
me now?
kind of, yeah, I would say we can hear you now.
Okay.
Nope, we can't
You
hear
can
you.
hear me now. Now, can you hear me? Is that better?
Yeah, yes, please proceed.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I was saying that I have concerns about future commitment of city revenue, city dollars for debt service. Uh, I do not feel that it has been clearly uh, articulated to the council and also to the citizens, the residents of this city, what the administration is committing to with this deal. I don't think that there has been robust engagement of all sectors of this city. There have been everyone who spoke here tonight is a white male. There's no diversity. And so, as we talk about growing this city in the downtown area where there are concerns about gentrification and people being priced out, what does this mean? Uh, Caleb Bauer's leaving the city, and so there will be new leadership potentially at the helm. And so I think that this conversation deserves more robust engagement, that the at-large members of this council and some of the council members should also host sessions to talk about what all of this
Okay,
means.
could you ask what your specific
I don't have to.
question
I'm
is?
sorry.
And your
Excuse me.
voice sounds very familiar.
Does it sound
I
very
don't know
familiar? I don't
why.
think that
Boy, I think I've talked to you before, but what is your question?
perhaps I don't have a question. I'm just making
Okay.
a comment, and I'm hoping
Okay.
that there can be more discussion about this proposal
Okay.
because I don't feel that all of the information about this has been shared with the public.
Okay, well, we thank you for your comments very much. Is there anyone else
So
wishing to speak
my
against this? Is there anyone else wishing to speak against this? I cannot believe this is happening. Okay, I'm seeing no one else to speak against this. I'm going to close the public hearing. I see nobody else's hands up. Clerk Toronto, I could verify there's no one else in the chamber. So we're going to close the public hearing. I'm going to bring this bill back to the council. In regards to 5-26, if there's nothing further from the members, I would entertain a motion regarding the bill. Yes,
Is it
Councilman Dr.
possible
Davis.
that they could have a rebuttal to what they have shared? I'd just like to hear a rebuttal
Sure.
about that.
Would you like to rebuttal? Okay.
Do you want me to rebuttal the C3PO or the second?
Both of them, all of the ones that you,
All right.
that come to your mind.
Yeah, so never received a public records request for the agreement. Obviously, we process all public records requests that we receive, so I would encourage the resident to file one with us, and we can get a copy of that agreement over to them, but hadn't received one in between the meetings, so that's that. As far as engagement, I think there has been a lot of engagement. This has been a long-standing process, and we've actually been talking about this project in one way or another for close to a year and a half publicly. And I just want to give credit to the Ancora team and the University of Notre Dame team. They've had a lot of conversations with stakeholders in the community around this project and how they can make sure it's impactful and bringing a lot of resources into the downtown. So hopefully that answers those questions. I think those were the main 2 points made. So thank you.
I'm satisfied.
Thanks.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I believe Council Member Tomas Morgan has a question before we go to a vote.
No question, but just a quick comment. I just wanted to reiterate, when we talked about this last month, what a unique opportunity this is for South Bend. We're one of few municipalities across the state of Indiana to receive IDD designation, which will really unlock development in the downtown area in already distressed parts of our downtown. And so really want to thank Caleb Bauer, who has been at the helm of Department of Community Investment over these, 4, 5 years. And want to thank you for your service to our city, to our residents. It's your work, the work of your team, partners in this room and outside that have brought a successful petition to the state about IDD and have fueled growth in our city over these years. So really want to thank you, and as parting words, wish you well in your next endeavor.
Is there any other, thank you. Is there any other comments from council members? Anyone down here to my, no? President Lee?
First of all, I want to thank you because this is in the 1st District. And when the Tribune closed many years ago, many people wondered what was going to happen to that big, beautiful building that they had just built. And to be able to figure out an economical way for it to be repurposed and ignited back into the community where over 400 people, full-time employees will be there, where the wonderful things that are going on to enhance the downtown, possible parking garage, more opportunities for restaurants, and making South Bend a walkable place. These are the things that 20 years from now, we'll look back and see that we made a difference. We made a difference in our South Bend by investing and thinking creatively and being able to recapture that money and keep $15 million a year. Am I correct? $15 million a year. And it could end up being $1 billion over the life of this program. Those are the things that's going to make South Bend be a place where everybody wants to live. And that's why we're here, to see those opportunities come to pass. And so, again, I just want to pledge my support to this because this is going to be transformational in the 1st District. So thank you.
Is there any other council members that want to make a comment before we call for a vote? If not, I'll entertain a motion regarding Bill 5-26.
I'd like to move for passage.
Move to
I'm
send five.
thinking we're in 3rd reading.
This is the
Go
motion
ahead.
to get
Go ahead,
to a 3rd
Councilwoman.
reading out of the committee of the whole, just so everybody tracks where we're at here.
Okay, so move to send 526, was that the right number?
Yes,
To the whole council with a favorable
Second.
recommendation.
Okay, so there has been a motion and it's been duly seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White. Vice President Niskoski.
I'm a big aye.
President Lee. I have 8 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 5-26 will go to the full council on 3rd reading with a favorable recommendation. We have one more bill to hear in the committee of the whole, and that is Bill 1-26. We have President Lee that is going to be our presenter. As he makes his way to the podium, this would be a good time if anybody would like to stand up, take a stretch, or have a sip of water.
I need to read the bill.
Sure, read the bill too.
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, repealing, suspending, and replacing Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-10.1 by establishing the powers and duties of the Common Council Rules Committee and eliminating the process and procedures for filing complaints against council members.
Thank you so much. And do we have a committee report on the bill?
Yes, this 0126 was heard in the Rules Committee, and it comes to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank
Committee
you
of
so
Whole, I'm
much,
sorry,
President.
with a favorable recommendation.
Yep, thank you. And you may proceed.
All right. This is something that has not been lightly tossed around. It's been very thought out throughout a whole year of evaluating and looking at other councils in other cities. There have been calls by residents and council members alike to amend Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-10.1 of the Municipal Code regarding written complaints made against council members and the manner in which those complaints are resolved. The current ordinance provides that the initial meeting of the Rules Committee to discuss complaints to be in a non-public executive session. That provision of the ordinance was enacted approximately 14 years prior to the enactment of the applicable Indiana Open Door Statute, which has been interpreted by the former public access counselor as requiring a public meeting, even at the initial confidential stage of the process. Recent public meetings of the Rules Committee demonstrated the impossibility of complying with the confidentiality provision of the ordinance and the former public access counselor's interpretation of the open door law. This led to the Rules Committee to investigate how other municipalities address complaints against common council members. The results were unexpected. The search revealed that almost no municipality has a similar ordinance providing for complaints to be filed, including Mishawaka, Elkhart, Fort Wayne, Gary, or even St. Joseph's County Council. One municipality that has had a somewhat similar complaint system also provides for confidentiality. It is not known whether this provision has ever been challenged. We believe that the city of South Bend should join those municipalities that do not provide for a process of receiving and resolving complaints against elected officials. Eliminating the formal complaint process does not leave our residents without redress. Residents are still able to speak at the privilege of the floor. Reports of improper conduct can be filed with the police department or the prosecutor's office. Those entities are far better equipped to investigate alleged misconduct than the council. Additional remedies against elected officials are contained in the Indiana state statutes. Residents and others will continue to have the privilege of the floor available at council meetings, and the Rules Committee will continue to have jurisdiction over issues of public trust. Finally, the citizens' ultimate remedy is at the ballot box. The proliferation of frivolous, meritless, repetitive, or legal incorrect complaints, combined with the elimination of a non-public executive session for initial consideration of complaints, has resulted in an inordinate amount of time devoted to resolving such complaints and hinders the Rules Committees in performing its necessary duties. The current ordinance provides no expeditious way to resolve such complaints short of a Rules Committee hearing. This proposed amended ordinance would remedy this situation. This ordinance repeals, supersedes, and replaces Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-10.1 in its entirety. This amendment will eliminate frivolous, meritorious, or legal incorrect complaints, which the Rules Committee is compelled to resolve under the procedure contained in the current ordinance. Again, with the recent discussion surrounding Bill 0126 has understandably raised questions about transparency, accountability, and the role of citizen oversight in local government. I support this bill because it does not remove citizens' rights or weaken accountability. Rather, it corrects an outdated and legally problematic ordinance and brings South Bend into alignment with modern standards, state law, and best practices used across Indiana. First and foremost, Bill 0126 does not eliminate accountability for common council members, nor does it silence residents. Citizens will continue to have multiple avenues to raise concerns and hold public officials accountable. What this bill does is address a process that is inefficient, vulnerable to abuse, and unique in Indiana, often to the detriment of taxpayers, city staff, and even legitimate complaints. The problem with the current ordinance, South Bend's current ordinance allows any individual to file a complaint against a council member for alleged misconduct without verification under oath, personal knowledge of the allegations, and any preliminary screening for merit. Once a complaint is filed, it automatically triggers mandatory action by the Rules Committee, even if the allegation is frivolous, duplicate, defamatory, or filed by someone with no connection to the city of South Bend. Due to a non-binding opinion issued years ago by a former Indiana public access counselor, these complaints must now be addressed in public meetings, regardless of the credibility or merit. When the ordinance was originally enacted, the confidentiality provision protected council members from false, libelous, and unfounded allegations. Public hearings came into play only after the Rules Committee found probable cause after an investigation. That protection is now gone when every single allegation must be heard in a public forum and is disseminated to the media and the general public through emails or blog sites. This structure creates a system where every allegation, no matter how baseless, demands public time, taxpayer-funded resources, and reputational harm with no mechanism for early dismissal or confidentiality at the preliminary stage. Where complaint systems do exist, they are typically handled through the codes of ethics and independent ethic boards, not automatic public hearings. Example, Carmel, where a complaint may be discussed administratively without a public meeting if no reasonable grounds exist. Muncie, which allows executive session review and dismissal of a frivolous complaint. Portage, which keeps complaints confidential until a public hearing is warranted. And Indianapolis, which permits informal executive session review and does not require every allegation to be aired publicly. This is about protecting accountability while preventing abuse. Bill 0126 recognizes a simple but essential principle. Accountability must be balanced with due process. A system that forces public hearings for every unverified allegation does not strengthen democracy. It weakens it by encouraging misuse, fueling polarization, and draining public resources. The current ordinance has also created opportunities for individuals to weaponize the complaint process, using it to generate controversy, drive traffic to politically funded platforms, or raise money without accountability, verification, or even residency in South Bend. Complaints may be submitted electronically without appearing before the clerk's office, meaning anyone, anywhere can file an allegation that is required to be discussed publicly. When this ordinance was adopted, there was no internet, no email, no social media, and in today's hyper-polarized environment, it is both responsible and necessary to update our policies to reflect current realities. Citizens still have remedies and they remain intact. Eliminating this ordinance does not leave residents without recourse. Citizens retain extensive avenues for accountability under Indiana law, including criminal prosecution for public servant offenses, civil actions against government officials, open door law complaints, State Board of Accounts investigation, malfeasance proceedings under Indiana Code, and public comment and privilege of the floor before the Common Council. Serious allegations of misconduct are best handled by law enforcement, prosecution, or courts, not by a legislative body compelled to publicly entertain every unverified claim. This is a responsible and modern step forward, and we don't take this lightly. This is us looking at our laws on the books and looking at ways to align South Bend with constitutional due process, state law, and provide municipal best practices. It preserves transparency where it matters, when probable cause exists, while protecting taxpayers, staff time, and the integrity of public service. This bill does not weaken the citizen voice, it strengthens good governance. For these reasons, and because of the lack of due process embedded in the current ordinance, support making this change and bringing balance, fairness, and accountability back to our municipal code. Thank you.
Thank you, President Lee. We appreciate the detailed information you provided that and the amount of research that was involved in providing that information to us. I'm going to bring it back here to our council members. Council members, do you have any questions for President Lee? I see none to my left. Is there any to the right? Dr. Davis?
Yes. The reason why I'm against this is that I don't think that the remedy itself is accurate when it comes down to some of the things. I think we have overemphasized some of the way this whole thing has been handled over these last couple of years. In past years, with that I was here and I chaired that committee, we had everybody there. The way you all have interpreted since I've been back has been problematic, in my opinion. We had the same rule before, and we see it differently. That's just the reality of it. And so, and it's been the way it was carried out with our previous attorney and the way it is carried out with this attorney. They both see it differently. I mean, attorneys do that. And so, I mean, I can't say which one was right, which one was wrong. They both had their credentials. And so, because I know a rules committee was called on me, we had the whole council there. This came back here, we have a different philosophy. And so that's the issue that I have, is that I wish we could have integrated some of the issues from Carmel, some of the other places we found in ours, and just saying, well, just go to the police. The police are not going to take most of these kind of cases. Even in the other trials that I've listened to, most of the attorneys say these matters should be handled in our courts. Courts don't want to deal with politicians. They do not. Even when we have personal matters, they don't want to really deal with us, okay? And so for any other kind of thing, they don't want to deal with that. So I just think that we could have taken a look at some of those other kind of situations, put them in this kind of a bill, and that would have been better remedy instead of just saying, well, we're just going to do like the other ones who don't have it. We are in a world where it is good for us to have some self-regulation. And from that standpoint, what is that exactly? Don't know yet. But I think the other cities did give us what you mentioned, and I was glad you did your research in that. I saw that as being very helpful. And to include some of those cities in this would have helped me feel better about supporting that. To leave it without that, I don't feel comfortable. And so I could go on with that, but I would rather have those. Everybody's mad at certain people, and I can see why. Even tonight, got on, I understand that. And so I just don't want to make rules. After all these years, there's been about 5 foot that have come to this mic that have driven everybody crazy. And in all my 15th year, those rules have stood the test of time, except for these 5 foot. And that's the issue that I have, over 100,000 people, and we're doing that. And that's my problem. But more than that, other cities have taken the time to say, okay, we're going to have, like you mentioned, some things and we'll bring it out here. We'll do this, we do that. I think if we had a collection of those kind of things and put it in here, I would feel better about it. But I think it's undone. And that's just where I feel. But thank you for moving forward.
Okay, thank
And-
you. Do
and
you
just
want to
to-
have a response to
Yes,
that before I go to the next council member?
Yes, just the response to that is, again, we're the exception to the rule. 25 other municipalities don't have a way, a complaint process like this. And the thing that really, for me, because I really weighed heavy on this, was the ones who do have a complaint process, you have to go in and be verified under oath that what you're saying is the truth.
That's exactly what I'm saying to you. I mean, I have no problems. First of all, just because the other cities don't do it, that's not my issue. My issue is since we have found those good cities that have done exactly what you've said, then I think that those best practices of those cities could be included in this. And I think that one alone, just that one that you just mentioned, okay? If that one was included in this, I could go along with that. Because to me, that's something that we have learned from the other cities that have done it. And we can say, well, this city has done it on the oath. That will cut down a lot of the frivolous things. Then there was another one you mentioned that where the people met, and then until it had to raise to another level of confidence, move forward with that, and it had to be released. That's another one. I see wisdom in the cities that have chosen to do it. And I see wisdom in us looking at those cities that have chosen to do it and getting the best practices for them and putting that there. That's what my thing is, for us to sit back and say, just send them to the prosecutor, whatever. I see that.
Well,
I see the meat of what that one alone, like I'm telling you, the ones you just mentioned to me made me feel good in the sense that other cities, if a person has to, okay, we mad at Oliver Davis and they don't like the way I talk to Sherry Bowden Simpson, all right? And they got to go up there and swear on the oath for some of the things, and they got to put some teeth on that and put some onus on them. Then just put it on them. Oh, I love that. Okay. Because that's the issue that we have right now that you had mentioned. People can just throw anything at us without having any kind of onus on them. Yeah. And that is a problem. As a politician, as a public person, for people to just throw everything at me, it drives me insane. Okay. So the issue of learning ways to put some pressure on our own voters, that the voter, if you're going to make a complaint, they have to reside in the city of South Bend. They have to believe it. A person from Granger, a person from Michigan right now, that's not even on there. Anybody can make a complaint. But a person has to, the guy that comes on here with this little video stuff is interesting, but people almost have to make a complaint in their own voice kind of thing, okay? And so these kind of things I think we could put together that put some serious teeth, and we won't be accused of trying to, just open ourselves up to, getting rid of the rules, but just taking some time. You've done it. You've taken the time to see these top 25, look at these things, and which one of these can we make a South Bend issue? And that's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any other council members that have a question for the petitioner? Councilmember Gooden Rogers?
Well, I was wondering, is this the time now that I can ask the attorney to say some of the other remedies that?
Yes, if you would like to.
Yes, I would like for Bob, would you please say some of the other complaints, things that can be done for the file a complaint?
Yeah, and this is a result of, and thank you for bringing that to my attention. I should have asked Mr. Palmer for that when President Lee finished. This came out of the result of the committee this afternoon that we heard this bill under and had some discussion.
Yes, we focused, or a lot of the conversation is focused on just the police department and the prosecutor's office. Those would only be for serious crimes. There are, I believe, 13 other state statutory remedies for complaints against elected officials. Indiana Code 5-11-5-1 talks about report to the examiners, Indiana Code 5-14-5-6 involves filing a complaint for violation of the open door law. Indiana Code 34-13-5-1 talks about public lawsuits. Indiana Code 34-13-3-5 involves lawsuits against a governmental entity and lawsuits against employees. Indiana Code 35-44-1-1-1 involves public servant offenses, performance of official duties, acceptance of unauthorized property, and use of non-public information for gain, failure to deliver records. Indiana Code 35-44.1-3-3. I'm sorry, let me read that again. 35-44.1-1-3 involves public service offenses involving other government employees. Indiana Code 35-44.1-1-5 involves offenses involving pecuniary interest. So that is a sample of statutory remedies we found in our research.
Does that answer your question, Councilmember Gooden Rogers?
For me, it does. I would just wanted the public to hear the other remedies that can be done.
Okay.
Those other remedies will be included in the minutes with the citation to the state statutes.
Thank you.
And then this also eliminates the thought of people saying, oh, you guys are just looking out for each other. So it really does become a transparent situation where it doesn't make the ones who are govern each other have to vote against each other and or anyone be able to say, because that's your friend, they won't do anything for you. So again, we looked hard at this. We looked at it very long. This is a very serious issue, and it's something that we don't do lightly. But we're the only city that's doing it this way, and because we can't have a public executive session, which our law says that's what we're supposed to do. So I don't know what other councils have done in the past, but if there's a complaint, it's supposed to be talked about in a non-public, confidential session, executive session. And then if it needs to go to the next level, then that's when it's supposed to become public. But with the public access counselor saying it all had to be open, this is what brings us to this point.
I'm going to move to the public hearing portion. It's starting to get late here and we
Yes.
haven't even got to third readings yet. So I'm going to open it up. Is there anyone here in the chamber wishing to speak in favor of Bill 1-26?
I don't see anyone in the chambers or online wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone wishing to speak against? I see one person in the chamber. If you could come up and give your name and address for the record.
Before I begin, I had a question for Mr. Palmer. Barb gave up because she was blocked or whatever.
Pardon me?
Barb texted me that she was blocked.
Sorry, who did you say is blocked?
Brown?
Brunel, yeah.
Brunel. Okay.
I
We
don't
didn't see
believe
her
anyone is blocked.
Yeah, we
No one is blocked. We're just managing the chat.
if she's online and raises
She's
her hand.
online and raises her hand, we'll
gave up.
unmute her so she can speak.
She gave up. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I'll
Okay,
begin.
would you please proceed it? Like I said, it's 10 and we still have to get through all our third readings. And I got to get home sometime tonight.
Sue Kessom, 4022 Kennedy Drive. Accountability is not a nuisance to be removed. It's the price of public trust. When elected officials weaken or erase the very mechanisms that allow citizens to seek redress, it sends a clear and troubling message. Your power is being protected, not the public. Ethical government does not fear transparency, it relies on it. There is no legitimate reason to eliminate a process designed to review concerns, investigate misconduct, or resolve violations. Removing accountability does not prevent abuse, it invites it. By removing these safeguards, the council communicates to the public that you think you are above the law. It says, quote, "The rules we oversee and write do not apply to us," unquote. That perception is corruption, and it's why public confidence continues to erode. This concern is not theoretical. Multiple members of the council have violated laws, ethical standards have gone unreprimanded. When violations occur without consequence, accountability mechanisms become not just appropriate, but essential. Citizens are asking for oversight, fairness, and a meaningful way to be heard. We are asking that elected officials follow the same laws and regulations they impose on others. I urge this council to remember, authority flows from the people. Perhaps it's time to create a citizens review board to oversee your actions. Accountability is not optional. It is fundamental to democracy. There is serious discussion among citizens of creating a citizens review board because you want to cancel this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak against?
Yes, Jesse Davis, please. You are given mic access and you can unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. The first thing that I want to say is I take offense to the comments about people who do not reside in South Bend, who come into these meetings and speak about problems, issues, or whatever the case is, because I'm one of those people. I don't reside in South Bend, but I pay more taxes than probably any of you people, with the exception of Ms. Nizgoski, who owns a business in South Bend. I probably pay more taxes in South Bend than anybody sitting on that council except for Ms. Nizgoski. So I have every right to speak about things going on in the community that I pay an abundance of taxes in. And my questions would be to whoever wrote this, why would you even have a rules committee then if you're going to eliminate this process? There's really not a need for a rules committee at that point. And where are ethics in all of this? Because I recall in the past a council member, Henry Davis Jr., who was actually brought up and they tried to censure him. And he was also reprimanded for utilizing his electronic device while he was sitting up there on the council, and all kinds of other things that have went on in the past. Prior to any of you people, other than maybe Mr. Davis and Miss White being on this council, the rest of you weren't around back then. And as far as saying there's legal remedies such as lawsuits, I spent $45,000 in a lawsuit against the city of South Bend, only to get a case dismissed by what I consider a crooked judge and perjury by city officials and city employees. Proven perjury, by the way. So the legal process does not work in our favor for that. Trying to file a police report, you said. I tried to do that one time, and guess what? The police didn't want to deal with it, and they turned it over to the city. And again, it was something where nothing was done about the issue at hand. Okay, so these remedies that you claim are out there are out of a lot of people's reach. And I see you pointing at your watch there. So first off, I'm kind of curious who all partook in writing this from the council. And I would like proof that every city in the state of Indiana doesn't have this, because we've got with cities, towns, and, the small municipalities, over 600 in the state of Indiana. And I find it hard to believe that none of them have this type of rule in place. But you claim none of them do.
Okay, are you finished, Mr. Davis?
Yes, but I do
Okay, well,
believe that
thank you.
this does take transparency away. It does not add to it.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate you coming on. Do you want to go on to the next person?
Mr. Sam Spark, you are given mic access. You can unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Thank you very much, Sam Smith, 330 West Colfax Avenue. I just want to say that,
Last time.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry, I spoke out loud. I thought you said you lived on Street last time that you.
No, I said I lived in Central High Apartments. I'm sorry, you misunderstood. And also, if you want to go home, you're free to go home. It's not like you're being paid. I do want to raise the issue that it seems that this bill is coming forward after there was much concern, public concern about the mistreatment of Dr. Davis and the way that he was treated by Rachel Tomas Morgan, which was, as far as from what I've read from emails on the listservs that I'm on, that Dr. Davis's situation, which was very public, his interaction with Councilwoman Rachel Tomas Morgan was never properly investigated under the current rules that are in place right now. And so I'm wondering when that particular complaint will be heard. And also, I would like to know if you all are to change the rules in the way that you want to change them, what effect will that have over the long term functioning of this council? Will it mean that people don't have the right to file complaints because not all complaints will be criminal? So they don't warrant complaints to or cases to be filed with the prosecutor's office or with the police department. In fact, if there are complaints around decorum, as in the case of Rachel Tomas Morgan, where she stood over him, over Dr. Davis, and tried to force him to go and sit in the with the audience in a way that was very inappropriate and demeaning. How will those kinds of situations be treated? And and also, the city attorney. I mean, he went to try to force the police to remove Dr. Davis, and the police officer said, "Was he a council member?" I mean, based on what I saw in the video, he questioned
Okay,
if he was a
so
council
what your
member.
questions
Can I
is
finish
how
my 3
are
minutes?
those,
Can I
well,
please finish my 3 minutes? Or
but I don't
can the
understand the
parliamentary?
question.
It's not a
And I,
question. This is
Jordan, I
public
don't
comment.
understand
This
what you're
is
trying to
public comment.
communicate. And
My name
this
is
is
Sam
really not,
Spark. My name
this
is
is
Sam
very sad.
Spark. My name
You
is
are
Sam
not
Spark,
Sam
please.
Spark.
Okay, well, I just want to know how cases around decorum will be treated.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. We're going to move on to the next person.
We have Katie Holmes. You've been given mic access. You can unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Yes, this is Katie. And
Did you
I'm rather
replace Kat?
concerned today with, yeah, I have a question. Because I'm rather concerned here today because
And what's your address for the record, please?
it is 1709 Minor. And I'm concerned here today because it seems like constitutional rights is being stripped away from the community. And with that being said, I have a good friend in this community, and she has stated to me that you all have not replied to her complaint that was filed against Rachel Tomas Morgan. And we find that to be rather right on time with this new legislation that you guys are trying to put through right now. And she really was concerned with the council's behavior that night when it came down to it with